Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending yet, folks. This is always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, can you believe it? There are about 4 more days left of today's the 27th, 3 more days left of 2020 of January 2025. It's can you believe it? See, like we just started the year. And we have like actually 4 more days. I've got it's 31st on January because usually it's 30. Some states have some months have 30, some have 31, and we're coming up on February, which is the shortest, which is 28. And folks, it's just time is flying by. Now, folks, if you have been following, if you do follow, like most of you guys, you're more about the women of muscle, but you don't follow sport. But as a content creator and also as a guy who follows this sport, I have to pay attention. If it have to be, as I quote my master Raza Gul Demons had, I often have to be aware of my surroundings at all times. So and there's something going on. As you know, they just updated the list for pro qualification to be a pro card before you're to be a pro to keep your pro card, and that's true to keep your pro card and to stay active as a pro. And there's a lot of people that kind of have a lot of different views of it, and then it's just a lot of what's going on. I mean, a lot of pros when you compete for a long time, get that pro card. I've done interview quite lazy say it's the greatest feeling they ever had when the work they put in, they try to get your pro card. Some ladies spend years in NPC for to get the pro card. Some are just gifted enough to just compete in 1 year. I know I talked to a couple ladies who did it. One lady, Amanda Santos, she debuted back in 2023 and got a pro card. Hope she does get start her pro debut this year. We hadn't been in contact much lately, but I hope she does. And also Hunter Henson is another example where she debuted in women's bodybuilding. That was back in 2021, and then she won her regional, won her pro qualifier, and was second to Mona Personally at the 2021 Talibé Pro. Right here, you have my man here. He's a fountain of knowledge, my man Jeremy, aka the Art of Female Muscle, aka Fit Physique fan. Shout out to him.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how he's going? How he's going?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, we were talking back and forth on my IG where he told me that there's more to this because what I'm hearing, I'm hearing stuff here and there from people, and people always sending me stuff like, as you know, one of my other identities, I am John Snow, the Bastard of Winterfell. Often I get little my bird, you see me things every so often, but I do have the rules, the regulations set up. So I'm gonna pull it up here for y'all if you want to check them out. So give me a second. All right. Now this is the regulations that they are set for is requirement as a pro, and I will read to you in detail. He says, okay, now you want to go, please email Tony Blinn, I think his name, and if you have any questions. Past current IFBB pro athletes, see part 3. Okay, part 1 definition. Registration means creating an account on www.ibbpromembership.com. Inactive means a registered IFB Pro member who has not signed the athlete membership agreement and paid the membership fee for the current calendar year. Inactive members do not receive an IFB Pro card and cannot compete in IFB Pro contests. Active means a registered IFB Pro member who has signed the athlete membership agreement and paid the membership fee for the current calendar year. Active members receive an IFB Pro card and can compete in IFB Pro contests. Okay, explanatory note says registering requires the registrant create an account in the IFBB Professional League Membership System, which is managed by MuscleWire. Then account is created if the registrant chooses at that time not to sign the athlete membership agreement and pay the membership fee. The registrant is assigned inactive status. The registrant's status will only change to active when the registrant signs the athlete membership agreement. and pays the membership fee. Active membership status automatically changes to inactive membership status to at midnight on December 31st each year unless the member renews before this deadline and time. Both active and inactive members are subject to IFBB professional league rules and policies. Now, that's one part of it. Now, here we have part two. The process of changing the amateur to IFBB Pro. One, only NBC Worldwide, and designated National Pro Qualifier contests offer qualified amateur athletes. You know, athletes and quotations and what's the face and earn right to apply for the IFBB process. So that means any shows like shows like the North Americans, the Miss International, Nationals, Junior USA, Junior Nats, Masters Nationals, any shows that a pro qualifier is the only place where you get your pro card. No place else. It has to be within either the worldwide NPC, regular NPC, or the designated. Like one example is I think they count the Mr. National as a designated national pro qualifier because as you know, NPC IFBB kind of detach themselves from women's bodybuilding. Now, part two here is athletes have to 1 year from the date that they earned their right to apply for iPro status to register with the IFBB Professional League. Athletes may choose one of the following two options during registration. Option one, do not sign the athlete membership agreement and do not pay the membership fee. You will be assigned inactive membership status. Option two, sign the athlete membership agreement and pay the membership fee. You will be assigned active membership status. Now, okay, that's what we were talking about earlier, was we want to look at three, because if you don't pay your pro fees, you usually pay them every year, then you still be active. If you don't pay that fee and you're inactive, that means you can't compete and you're not IFBB Pro. Now, four is athletes who do not register within 1 year of earning the right to apply for IFBB Pro status lose their right to apply and must re-qualify through a pro qualifier contest. That means that you got to start all over again. So if you let your status runs out, you got to start all over again. 5, athletes have up to 1 year from the date of registration to become active members. 6, athletes who do not become active members within 1 year of the date of registration lose their IFBB Pro status and must re-qualify through the pro qualifier contest. Now, here we have part 3, the process of obtaining IFBB Pro status. Okay, we have here referred to part 1 definitions for the meaning of active and inactive. Now, here's 7. We have IFBB Professional League athletes, IFBB Pro athletes, are not required to hold active status, sign an athlete membership agreement, and pay a membership fee every year. That's pretty cool. And the IFBB athletes is number 8, who are active members may choose to become inactive members by allowing their active membership to expire. Active membership automatically expires at midnight on December 31st each year unless the member renews before the date and time. Now, as for this one, it was number 9. As of January 1st, 2024, IFBB Pro athletes who are active members who choose to become inactive members may remain inactive to up to 3 calendar years. Inactive members who do not become active members within the 3-year period lose their IFBB Pro status and must requalify through a pro qualifier contest. And examples like this, example 1 is if an IFBB Pro athlete becomes an active member by signing the athlete membership agreement and paying the membership fee on May 1st, 2024, the athlete competes on May 18th of 2024 and then decides to take off and does a new renewal for 2025. In instance, the members' active status automatically changes to inactive at midnight on December 31st of 2024. The member may remain inactive for up to 3 years or until December 31st of 2027. If the member does not become active member by December 31st, 2027, the member IFBB Pro status will be revoked. To regain IFBB Pro status, the member must qualify through IFBB Pro qualifier contest. And this is 10, this is less, this is more. And it says IFBB Pro athletes who held their pro status before January 1st of 2024, but who were inactive may remain inactive without the loss of their IFBB Pro status. When they become an active member, they will then be subject to the 3-year rule. Example: if an IFBB Pro athlete has competed in 2019 and has not since renewed, the athlete chooses to become an active member on January 3rd, 2025, and therefore is now subject to the 3-year rule. Woo, that's a lot. I did a lot of reading for y'all, so I hope y'all appreciate that. We just got here. Guests just pop in. My man David Bryant for the Female Bodybuilder Forum. My man hit over 3,000 subscribers. More than me. I don't keep you jealous. Yes, I am jealous.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Also, you're my girl. So that's the thing is, that's like, David, I love you, my brother, but then we have to fight one of these days. But
thank you. No, I appreciate it.
You're welcome, brother. You're welcome. Congratulations. So, as we heard, I just went off from the regulations. What's your gentlemen's thoughts of as you know, there's quite a few. Sometimes some things happen in life, and then you may not want to pay that fee because that's like $300 a year you have to pay, and that could go to something else.
I definitely kind of see the athlete's perspective on this. I know there's a lot of people kind of irritated about it, and I think the fact is, it's such an extreme sport. Not everybody is ready to make their pro debut, right away, after they've competed, or could deter people from making like a big comeback too. And I love it whenever there's like a big comeback, because it adds a lot of kind of drama to the sport, it makes it more interesting, I think. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really sit too well with me. I do think it's in terms of the having to actually go back and requalify and go back to an NPC show, even if you're a pro who's really has a really good record, and it doesn't seem like they're taking any consideration on that at all. So yeah, so I'm not happy with it. What about Jeremy?
Well, before I say that, let me clear something up, because I've now seen 7 different people online spreading misinformation about this. And let's be absolutely clear right off the get-go. And even when you're reading this, it shows this. When the question of whether or not about either earning or maintaining pro status in the IFBB has nothing to do with whether or not you compete. Period. It didn't say anywhere in the rules that you just listed about maintaining pro status. You don't have to compete to do that. It strictly says that in order to be in questions of active or inactive members, strictly has to deal with 2 things. Did you sign the membership agreement, and did you pay the fee? It doesn't say anything at all about competing. And I've seen 7 people now go around saying, oh, well, you have to compete every year. Oh, if you don't compete every year. It's like, no, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that anywhere in the rules.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
So it's like, and it just is driving me nuts, because I'm seeing people, because every one of these people is spreading that. And I'm like, it's not saying that at all. So I think that disclaimer needs to be said, that people are making comments about this, but they're making comments about misinformation. They're not making comments about what it's actually saying. So that needs to be cleared up. But
yeah,
to answer the question earlier, I'm actually kind of torn about this. When you read it the way that it actually says, is because I actually have heard now good arguments for both sides of this debate. So I've heard the one from the likes of Teresa Vancic, other IFBB pros out there saying, hey, I earned this. I've paid every year. I've competed here for years. Such like that. It says it's no different than a doctorate. Once you get it, you have it.
Mm-hmm.
So you call yourself doctor or such like that. And I get that. I see that too. However, there's a good counter argument to that as well, and that is all professional licensure eventually expires.
Mm-hmm.
I am a former certified pharmacy tech. So I've got the CPHT. I mean, I have that certification. So it's like I went to school for it, got my certificate for it. I was in active practice with a retail pharmacy to be able to dispense drugs and such like that. So I had to know and demonstrate that I knew this. However, that license has an expiration date. And the two of the stipulations you have to do to retain that is you do have to pay a fee for it. And then as far as I remember, but you also have to demonstrate that you're staying up to date on your education. So you have to do like 30 hours of continuing education so that not only are you demonstrating that you know the basics, but you're also up to date on present day events when it comes to pharmaceuticals. And that's good. I mean, you want somebody who knows their shit. You want somebody who's up to date on it, but that license expires. And you have a certain amount of time to keep it going. And you have to meet certain criteria to do it. If you don't, then you're not allowed to practice. And if you do decide to do that, you run into serious problems. So on the one hand, I get it from the competitor's point of view. On the other hand, I get it from the licensing point of view. Because essentially an IFBB Pro status is both. So that's what makes this that's why I'm kind of undecided on it, is because I've heard good arguments both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a good point about certification too, and pro status being kind of similar to that. So yeah, I get you. I understand that. I even have that. I'm a fundraising certified executive, and I have to renew every 3 years, basically, or otherwise I have to take the damn test again. So I don't want
right. See, I'd have to take that too. I'd have to take the CPHT test again to show that I know the basics, but then I also have to show 30 hours of continuing education to show I'm up to date on things. Mm-hmm. And again, considering what you're dealing with, when you're dealing with drugs and pharmaceuticals, you want a person who's like that.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that. So, but that's why I say, on the one hand, I was like hearing just the one side of it, hearing it from the competitor's point of view. But then other competitors were pointing that out as well. As they're saying, look, I'm a registered nurse. I have to maintain my licensure every year. I have to do certain things in order to do that. Otherwise, if I decide to practice without renewing that and they find out about it, very serious consequences for that. So that's why I'm torn on it. It's because I've actually heard good arguments. But again, it has nothing to do with whether or not you compete every year. It strictly involves two things. Did you sign the membership agreement? Did you pay the membership fee? That's what determines, based on the definitions, what an active or inactive member is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it doesn't say you have to compete.
Yeah, that's the thing with most people. When he sees things, they all jump to gun, and and that's why I was hearing it from here and there and there. And I said, when Jerry reached out to me, say, well, go and say, okay, let me go ahead and look at the list and get the information, and now make sure everything's right before we do this. We have here my man Chris Metz coming through. Chris, he says, good evening to you, brother. We have a man here, Warrior 2000 out the Warrior Word, says, wow, I came in at a interesting time of George raving about David putting his hands on his so-called girl. And I guess you're talking about Andrea Shaw, since you're claiming you have several girls. Yes, that's my main girl. And David, he has hand around her. I try to be cool about it. But sometimes I just, I'm one of these days I'm do like my man Keith. I'm going to let it go. But right now I'm like the outlaw Josie Whale. I live for the grudge. Also, shout out to man War. He says this. He says, take a breath, George. Whoosh. Yeah, I do. And also, this is from my man Chris. Shout out to Chris. He says this. He says, it would be great to have athletes like Teresa Vasic on the channel. She's fantastic influence and a pioneer of the sport. Well, I would ask her if she want to come on. I say, hey, just let you know, but I can't make nobody people do what you want to do or I want to do. They got to do it for themselves. But this is one. I was someone. I was like, I know I follow the female bodybuilding channel, and they've been talking about this. How they're saying that if you're not active, you shouldn't get a pro card. They posted this video on their in their stories, but it's coming from a competitor who posted this. Her name is Carly. Carly, she competed as a physique competitor. I think around about the mid 2018, 2019. She has competed for I think at least maybe 5 years or so. And
I like her. Yeah, I remember her.
Yeah, and she posted this. Here it is, and this is what she's talking and her thoughts on it.
My thoughts on spending the $300 to say I'm still a pro or get booted and revoked to the amateur status again. I'm choosing not to pay, and they can revoke it, and that's going to be it. There's been a lot of deep introspection on myself and competing and all of it, and I can honestly say I will not compete for the IFBB ever again. And there's a couple reasons. The main reason is when you step on that stage, you represent yourself, but you also represent the federation and who's behind it. And people don't like to bring up or recognize the dark side of the bodybuilding world. And there is a deep underground, shady, skeezy porn industry. And it's been going on for decades. And acknowledge it or not, it's been there. And do a quick Google search on Jim Mannion, and it's in the Washington Post that, hundreds of females have come out that they've been exploited on these porn sites and, coerced into doing things to get a higher placing, their pro cards, sleeping with promoters, all of it. And I myself, 2013, I was 18 years old, and somebody called and said they saw me on Pornhub, very not rated R, in a bathing suit. But somehow that photographer and whoever they're affiliated with in the industry got it onto that porn site and whatever other sites. And there is proof. I had to go back and forth to get it taken off as I'm trying to get a nursing job. And, you let it go for 12 years. And so my personal preference is I don't want to represent that anymore. Morally, my soul feels like that is done. The IFBB, revoke the pro status, ban me from the IFBB. It is what it is. I don't want to be affiliated anymore. I don't want to be part of it. It just doesn't feel right, and I don't want to represent it. My thoughts on...
Well, she made some comments here. Decades of shadiness, underground porn sites, exploiting females, coercing them, sexual favors for a higher place, turning pro. My own PG-13 pics exploited 12 years ago. I'm not looking away anymore. I don't want to represent that darkness anymore. Now, here's also says, what women's physique has turned into, drier, harder, more conditioned than men's bodybuilding. Females getting an insolent less amount of shows, win money compared to the men. How the IFBB handled the Dugs pulling out of the Prague and Romania due to Raduo. I don't know what it is.
Rabdo.
It's something RH. Okay, thank you. And take you off the list. That's it. They don't care. The money grabs more and more. Can't help but to question where the money is going from the cash they want to keep your status. That shady sites, the shady sites says personal decision, my personal experience, my personal thoughts. I love the gym, but I love the art of bodybuilding, and I'm morally proud I got to level, did good, conscience, in good conscience, never crossing a line, sleeping my way to get there. But I don't love that competing has become what goes on with the IFBB. And and I see some pictures of her. She was an impressive young lady as she was competing. I know she got married a few years ago. Here is, I think this is a picture of her. I think this is probably maybe the most recent of her. Good, like
Yeah.
quads, like killer. I mean, she's
When was
still good shape, but
when was the last time she competed?
I think either around 2018, maybe 2016.
No, it was more
Well,
recent than that. She was in the Olympia in 2021, but I
okay.
think it might have been
21?
2022
Oh,
was last time I think she competed. I think I'm not. I need, and I forgot her maiden name too. Now I forgot. I got to find
Yeah.
her real quick.
But now, I mean,
yeah.
on
I
the
think
one hand, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead. What you
Oh,
saying?
um.
No, you say something.
Well, if she stopped competing and has no prior to January 1st, 2024, and she has no desire to come back, then she will never lose her pro status, according to number 10 on the pro rules there. And that was the question. Because, see, I emailed Tony Blinn. I emailed the guy where it says, if you have any questions, email the guy. Well, I had questions, so I emailed the guy. And I asked him questions about specifically what it was referring, what's going on here. I said, okay, but what about people who are retired? What about people who have retired prior to this date? Do they lose their pro status as well? After 3 years from this point, do they lose their pro status? And he said no. He said, go look up number 10 on the rules. It says that if you were inactive as a competitor prior to January 1st, 2024, but you were an IFBB pro prior to that and are still are inactive, you still can be inactive and still retain your IFBB pro status in that circumstance.
Hmm.
So this rule doesn't apply to people like Linda Murray or Kim Shaveski or Dorian Yates or anybody who was an IFBB pro then and then retired prior to January 1st, 2024. They're allowed to keep their pro status. It's only if you're currently competing as of January 1st, 2024. Everybody after that date is when the whole active inactive thing goes into effect. The 3-year rule goes into effect.
Yeah.
And they even give the example of
Yeah.
that. But this is another thing, is about misinformation. Somebody misinformed her about this. And so it's like she's not going to lose her pro status based on what they said. So it's like, this is why I say misinformation, especially in social media, people are getting upset about things that aren't going to happen to them, or they haven't paid
Yeah.
attention to this stuff. So
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, like when they like somebody, like, for example, like guys like Jay Cutler or Ronnie Coleman. You also mentioned like Iris Kyle, Linda Murray. A lot of those who have not competed maybe in more than 10 years or 20 years. Those are the ones I think people wonder if they're still pros, but they still are. They may not have too many, don't have it on their social media, because that's the one thing, as you say earlier, how you're a tech, and that's one thing about being IB Pro. It's like being licensed and bonded. Like if you are an electrician or a plumber or any kind of contractor, that license and bonding helps you, and it helps a lot of these competitors use that in their fitness. Because there's one young lady, she turned pro back in 2021, and I don't know if you remember, her name was Alexis Castro. She turned pro the same year Chelsea turned pro women's bodybuilding. They both competed in the overall, and Chelsea won the overall. I think Alexis won I think she was the middleweight or light heavyweight. I try to remember which one it was. And she has not competed since then. Now she's not even that active on social media. She changed a little bit. She's got tattoos here and there. She does have a YouTube channel. The question is, did she ever pay her pro status? Could she compete? I don't think she's moving on to something else because I think she's focused more on artsy stuff now. And then you look at some competitors that they just got the pro card, but they don't want to compete. They just got the pro card, they're done. But then they think about it, maybe they want to compete. That's the thing is, that's the concern of people because if you're not competing actively, that's the concern. If would this affect your pro status? My man David sent me for you guys out there. I know you guys, you like the all tickle stuff. You like to see buff women. So he sent me a link. It's to the NPC Online news forum, and she did last competed in 2021, and she was under the name. I think it was Taripka,
I think.
Taripka. That was her maiden name before she married, and she's impressive. I mean, I think she might have been the top 15 in 2021. That was the year. I remember it was the year after Shanique Grant lost the title. There was 2020 was return of women's bodybuilding to the show, and then that was the year that I think Hella took second to Andrea. Impressive, if she was competing now with this physique, she would be figured. Because
I think you're right. Yeah.
She's
she's done a lot of photo shoots with Joe from HD Physiques, and I like her look. She's got a great look, really, and she's really pretty too. I did think what she said about Washington Post was interesting because I haven't heard much discussion about the Washington Post series. And I when I first started my podcast, I would ask a question about it back in 2022, and most of the competitors got so kind of defensive about it that I just dropped it. I just decided that it wasn't worth the hassle to ask about it. But I do think that post series is worth a look if y'all get a chance. Let me see if I can find the link to that too.
We talked about it before because my old partner Jared used to be he was more of the technical guy. He's kind of like Jeremy. We talked about it before, and you remember it was a lawsuit against J.M. Mannion. So his photos was like I think it was 2 or 3 women who tried to sue him. They did photo sessions with them, and then some of that stuff was posted on some adult sites. Also, we talked about a situation where it was I think he was a coach where he had mostly bikini competitors, and he was under some kind of suit because of sexual harassment. And one of his competitors is now she's in a vegetative state because this is a bikini competitor. She went through something. I remember I talked about it. I posted it on my social media before. Here we got a comment from a man, Warrior. Shout out to Warrior. Always coming. He says, "We all know Sherry Piami is David girl, Andrea is George girl, and George that's that." Well, I had his girl on my channel, but he touching on my girl. So that's just what I think. But okay. I mean, like I said, you just want to start some shit, Warrior. Always starting shit. All right. This is also from Warrior. Shout out to Warrior. Says, "I can't keep up with the rules and regulations of the IFBB. A switch and changes like a pendulum." Yeah, it does that. Also, where it says, it seems like someone I can get behind and strongly. I have a deep, utmost respect. I think he's talking about he's talking about Carly. And also, this is from Warrior. He says, "I appreciate honest, passionate, and real people who speaks their mind and has the courage to stand up for yourself." Yeah, because many people won't do that. I mean, they wouldn't want to think about it if they thought that their post status was on the fact that they had to compete. They would do a show every year if they felt like it was their purpose to compete. But now they know this, they can just say, you know what, I don't do a show every year. I can sit and chill, do the 3 years, and then if I want to compete, I can compete before the 3 years is out. Take the time to build, because this is a special sport. It may take time to grow and develop. Some competitors will do this, and they've done this. They turn pro a show, and if it's a pro qualifier connected to a pro show, they do that. Like some competitors do that at shows like Chicago Pro, where some used to do that with the after the Miss International, or the Toronto Pro. I think also I think they do it at the Masters, championships, the World Master Championships that they turn pro at the North Americans, and then some days will do the pro show. You just got to pay your pro card right then and there. This is from a man. Chris is Chelsea competing this year? Yes, she says she's doing Triple O Dynasty. Shout out to them. Stephen Prey saying, yeah, he answered the question. He says Triple O Dynasty is Triple O Dynasty, brother. And we have here, this is from South Daz. I'm gonna say your last name because I'm not gonna say your first name. So big or whatever. Wow. And we have, this is the thing is that this is something that I think a lot of people are, concerned about because a lot of these ladies that done interviews, they say they love competing. They don't care much about if they don't get money or go to Olympia. They love to compete. I keep saying this, bodybuilding is a passion sport. There's not much reward out of it if you're lucky enough. If you can get sponsorship or any kind of assistance to help you out, it's a expensive sport. I know I was talking with Keith. I thought he'd be here because usually we talk about how he just paid his last year. He had to pay for his pro stats. I think it's $375, $325, I believe it was. And that's, like I said, it's just an expense every year.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah, just in terms of having to pay that fee every year. And the nice thing is, and I think that this is correct, that as a pro, they pay the one fee every year and then they can do as many shows as they want, right? I mean, they don't have to, not like an NPC show where they have to pay for each show that they do.
No, that would be for the entire year. So they wouldn't have to pay that fee for every show. As an IFBB pro, they wouldn't have to do that. But also, when I was reading that, if you follow those rules that they posted, you never have to compete ever again. And you can still call yourself an active IFBB pro because, again, it has nothing to do with competition. It's just, did you pay the membership? Do you sign the membership agreement? And did you pay the fee? Mm-hmm. So as long as you've done that, you can retain your IFBB pro status in perpetuity and do that, follow that process every year. Become active. Say, okay, well, then wait till the end of the calendar, wait to the end of the calendar year, and then not renew yourself. You go inactive. You wait 3 years. Then at the very end of the third year, you pay your fee, and you sign a membership agreement. You're active again, and then you don't compete. And then you wait till that year expires. You don't pay the fee or sign the agreement. You're inactive again. And you could do that on and on and on and on again. Never compete at another show and still call yourself an IFBB pro. So it's like,
yeah,
I saw that and I was like, But I mean, it is clearly a money grab. I mean, I think it very clearly is that. I think just thinking about where I'm at right now, I think the solution that would seem amicable to all parties involved would be this, is that if you stay inactive after 3 years, then you should be allowed to still call yourself an IFBB pro, but a retired one. To put instead of IFBB pro, say retired IFBB pro. It's because, for example, the military officers get to retain their ranks after their service. They just have to put retired at the end of it. Because, I mean, if you watch news media, whenever they have military consultants, they say Lieutenant General Wesley Clark, retired. Or Colonel McGregor, retired. Rear Admiral such and such, retired. They're able to keep their ranks, but they just have to specify they're retired, and even they address them as general or admiral on the show. So I'm thinking the best solution for this would be is that fine, keep the active process or the 3-year rule, But after that, tell them you can continue to call yourself an IFBB pro. You just have to say you're retired.
Mhm.
But and then after that, if you decide to come out of retirement, like the example that they give under number 10 there in the rules, then you go back into the active and inactive phase. And if that's like your last hurrah or such like that, again, if you decide, if you still have an IFBB pro status, you go from active to inactive, and then you decide that's it. That was my very last show. Again, you should still be allowed to call yourself an IFBB pro, but specify you're retired.
Mhm.
I think that's the best. I think that's the best solution, because then you're honoring their rule, but at the same time, you can still say that you have a status as IFBB pro, just a retired one.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I like that. It's like an emeritus status kind of thing.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like there's professor and there's professor emeritus,
Mhm.
which means you're a retired professor. So,
because even if a doctor's retired, you still call him a doctor. He's just unless he
right,
just unless he keeps certified. He's he's technically still a doctor, but he's not registered or regulated because if he retires from being a doctor, but you know what, he still is going to be a doctor. And if something like if you're at a restaurant, you get sick, and the doctor comes help you and says, "No, I'm retired," but still he's still going to do what he do because it's his job. He can't help it. It's just like in his nature. We out here, my man KL the Wanderer coming through, brother. Welcome.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
Yeah.
hey,
Good.
KL, he also does content on wearing bodybuilding. He's more a fan of wearing muscle. He's we try to get him to learn a little more. So whenever he does interviews, he can be a little educated. That's why I bring him out here.
Yeah,
But it's one lady I've been in contact with, and she no longer competes. She hadn't competed since 2021, and I reached out to her a while back. We going back and forth. We're still in contact. We hope maybe I can interview. Her name is Janet Bloodworth, and she posted this as she's talking about her, being that she's no longer competes, but she talks about her status as IFB Pro. I'm gonna pull this up.
I remember her. Yeah, she's great. Huh.
Good afternoon. Hope all you guys are well out there. I'm doing pretty good. Kind of laid low a little bit on Instagram. Haven't posted much. Haven't done a video in a very long time. And I haven't stayed off of social media. I've just laid low and read a lot of things, looked at a lot of things, took in a lot of things. And of course, those who follow me, I'm an IFBB pro bodybuilder that no longer competes. And I still stay consistent in the gym and with my diet because I still want to be healthy and look good. But talking about healthy, that's another thing when you're almost near death approaching stage. That's another topic down the road if I decide to continue to do these videos. But there's a topic I came across on somebody else's page. They were asking people's opinion about once somebody gets their pro card, should they be able to keep it or not if they decide not to keep anymore? Well, that's kind of a touchy subject. It really doesn't pertain to me because they're talking about they'll give you 3 years to compete after you get your pro card, and if you don't compete after 3 years, then they're going to revoke it and you'll have to go back down to NPC. Well, my take on it is I competed immediately after I got my pro card. I competed twice in 2020 and I competed twice in 2021. I almost competed in 2022, but after competing in the amateurs and in the pros for a total of 5 years, it takes a toll on your body. And I'm no famous bodybuilder. I'm not a great influencer by no means. I am certified in personal training and nutrition. Pisses me off sometimes because people want the silver bullet and they don't want to work for it. And that's where my point comes in. When you are either pro or amateur, you bust your ass to get where you want to be and need to be on stage. And I feel that if you go through the hell that you go through to get to that point, to be almost near death on stage, and you're that dehydrated, and you earn your pro card, I think you should be able to keep it, whether you compete again or not. That's just my opinion. And some of you may go, blah, blah, blah. You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to mine. But I really honestly think that pro or amateur, all of us, we put ourselves through hell mentally, physically, emotionally, and it's very hard. And it takes a really, really, I don't want to say crazy person, but we're kind of crazy to put ourselves through that. And there's only a few, and I'm not talking in the amateurs, I'm talking when you get to the pros. There's only a few that continue to profit off of it. Did I win in the pros? No, my first competition pro, I took dead last. And, but I kept trying. I wanted to see, did I improve? Yeah. It is what it is. And I thought about competing again, but now there's no place for me. I'm too small for women's physique, which was my category. I'm too big for bikini. I don't have the ass and the legs for wellness, and I'm even too small for figure. So why put myself through that hell and know I'm not going to win? So anyways, that's my take on the IFBB dilemma. And, comment if you want to. And I think I might start doing these little videos again. And when I'm ready, I may go live. Y'all have a great day. Take care.
Yeah, because that's the tough part about it. Because the sport has changed, and just barely since she last competed. I think it was back in 2021, and the women are getting bigger, and even if you feel like it's too small for even figure, we saw that picture with Carly. She looked like she could be figure, but the division has changed. I doubt she mentioned women's bodybuilding because I doubt she wants to go up there because that's way too big. And for a lot of women, it's difficult to try to, especially when you're much older, try to compete with the much younger crowds coming in here, competitors who've been here longer, who've been consistent, and I know I was talking with her. She has some family stuff that's going around, and that's why she took a step back from competing. And she's a great lady. I hope we get an opportunity to have her on. We have here one of our usual suspects. He just popped in, my big brother, Mr. Big Keith Wills, IFBB Pro. And we were talking that you played your feet last year. And
Yes.
And what's because you're a pro,
Yep.
what's been the scuttlebutt?
What's the what?
Scuttlebutt, it's a military term like the gossip.
A lot of people are pissed off, and it's the guess like a lot of people have a lot of questions because it's somewhere in the rule book that it says something like that, but you just can't find it, and from the standpoint of that's like saying, okay, does Kevin LeBron, Flex Wheeler, the old heads of the old times, do they still, because they haven't competed, and they're legends and Hall of Famers, I get it, if and they're retired. So the question, I guess, is if I don't continue to compete, how do you take that status away from me for, it's just like the girl said on the video, how do you take that away from me? Which doesn't make sense because you're talking to a 3-time runner-up before I turned pro. And there was a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of work, and I just don't understand how this applies and how it works. I get it, but if I were say, I plan on only competing in this sport another maybe 2 years. I know that for a fact. But once I stop competing and I don't renew, and again, I always look at things as, is this another money situation? Because it always is with the NPC and the IFBB. Is this another money situation? So even if I don't compete, but I pay for my pro card, doesn't that still make me a pro? That's the question. Because that's $275 a year. And I guess that's what everybody's trying to find out. Even if I don't compete and I pay the $275, do I have to, after not competing for 3 years, that is, do I still have to, requalify? And I guess that's the question that nobody's answered or told anybody yet. So, and people want to see rules. I know Rachel Bikini Pro sent me a message on IG. She goes, I've put my glasses on and been reading this like a fine-tooth comb, and I can't figure out how they can do this to any events. And she's a master pro. I'm like, I don't know. I go, so I guess that's the question that, I played in the NFL for 8 years, and I pay my union dues. I get a pension every year, and that's just the way it is. I don't know, because this sport that I'm in now is so disorganized and dysfunctional that I'm like everybody else, like, what? We talked about that a long time ago. Maybe they should have a union. Maybe they should have us paying dues or something like that. So at the end of your career, that you have something to invest in, but you don't. So I don't know. It's crazy to me. I just think it's another money ploy, to be honest.
I was wondering too, the timing of this. I was wondering if it has anything to do with the Ed and Betty Parizo launching their new, accrediting body or whatever, the Beachbody thing, because it just seems like timing wise, like, why is this coming up now? And I didn't know if that could have anything to do with it.
Yeah, and not only that, you got now they're talking about this elimination thing for the Olympia.
Mm-hmm.
That's George.
Yes.
And
wait, what is that?
So
just
I sent George, and he'll probably can pop it up. So they're talking about. So we all know that women's bodybuilding and probably men's bodybuilding usually have about 15 to 20 people per class. But because bikini, wellness, men's physique, class physique have so many competitors, they're trying to sit there and say, we're going to do an elimination round when you get to the Olympia. So everybody, it's kind of like nationals, the format at nationals. Only the top 15 will make it to the stage when it's all said and done. The rest will no longer get their per diem, all that stuff paid for. If you don't make the top 15, basically, if you want to go to Olympia and do it, you're on your own to paying your fees. And Dave Palumbo was saying that it's only fair to do it that way because it's not fair for Jake Woods to have to pay for all these big classes of 50 plus people to pay for everybody's, I guess, hotel, per diem, everything goes. If you want a sweatsuit and the bag and all the good stuff, that's fine. You get that. But if you don't make the top 15 during that elimination round, and this is for all classes, then you have to pay for your own shit. That's what basically. And Steve Weinberger, who thinks it's a good idea, and they were saying it because they're doing the podcast, and I says the scary thing is when Steve Weinberger is agreeing with it, it usually may happen, and that's scary.
Yeah, because he sent it to me, but what happened was it went to Dave's private. He privatized it, so it's not up there anymore. It was a clip from a podcast with Steve Weinberger, I think Frank Seppi, and another dude. Yeah, I don't know the other guy. Frank back in the day, he competed a little bit. He kind of like never really turned pro. He was just a pretty boy, kind of like Mike O'Hare, and it is like this. You got to think about it. Like unless like special divisions like women's bodybuilding, men's bodybuilding, maybe because I think they may have more shows because I think usually might have 20 more men in men's bodybuilding. So you might have to cut that maybe top 15 and the top 10 usually still get money. Yeah. And most definitely with physique, with men's physique, men's classic, 212's getting their shows are getting cut like women's physique is. And then you're gonna have the new fit model division coming up. So that'd be a good reason to do that because that division is gonna be stacked up. They just did some shows over the weekend. I might pull up a clip later, or I'd say, well, I don't want to see the bullshit. I know, but I just just one analogy. What's the enemy that's coming? So, and we have here a comment from my man. Shout out to my man Stephen Prey. He says, "So is a money thing. Yeah, it always is. comment from Man Warrior. He says, I forget Carly Topeka, whatever her name is, used to be on HD Physique. That's where I remember her from. Just looked her up. Yeah, okay. Also from man Chris Metz, he says, money is the key thing that the IFB is desperately trying to make now that they introduced the fit model division. And this is a response from man Warrior. He says, Warrior's always antagonist. He says, Chris Smith, ugh, you just had to mention that trash ass abomination division that's been shoehorned into the IFBB for the sake of money grabbing. Yes. So, and as we're talking about the legends, there was a podcast. I source to be link is from Beyond the Stage Television, and if you know of it, it's on IG, and I think also they have a YouTube channel. And they had a couple of pros talking, former pros. You had, I think, Milos, and I think Dennis James, and I believe I might be Chris Cormier, if I remember it. Here, we can pull it up here in a second.
Just that you listen, you turn pro. If you don't use it, you lose it. Simple as that. And I think 3 years is a long time for you. I mean, I would do it after 12 months. Just that you listen, you turn pro. If you don't use it, you lose it.
And I think this is, Jeremy, where the misinformation comes from. People like Dennis James, these other guys,
Well, right.
Because everybody listens.
Right. None of those guys are going to lose their pro status.
Nope.
According to the rules.
Nope.
None of them are going to do so. And then also going back to what Janet said on that video, she's reacting to that same misinformation. Because you notice what she said? She said, oh, well, the scuttlebutt is you have to compete every year to maintain your pro status. If you don't compete in 3 years, then you lose your status. And that's not what it says at all. So people are spreading this shit. It's like, have people paid attention? Because, Keith, to answer your question, if you want to find out what everybody is talking about, if you want the rules about this, go to the IFBB homepage, click on the registration process tab, and look especially at part 3.
Okay.
Because that's what everybody is talking about. But you got to read the whole thing.
Okay.
Because they have a part 1 section that says definitions. Because they use the terms active and inactive.
Okay.
And they define what that means there. But the thing is, what they're saying is that if you want to maintain your pro status, if you're still competing after January 1st of last year, here's the situation. If you've signed a membership agreement and you paid the membership fee, you're in active status.
Okay.
If you don't do those two things by, say, the end of this calendar year, then you go from active to inactive. And then you stay inactive for 3 years. You still remain an IFBB pro, but you're in inactive status.
So you can't compete for 3 years?
No, you can.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying. No, sorry. You would have to pay your membership fee. You would have to sign the to be able to compete, because it does say that. But if you're in that inactive stage, you can stay there for up to 3 years.
Okay, that makes
sense. And then if at the end of those 3 years, if you still haven't paid your membership fee or you still haven't signed the membership agreement, then you would lose your IFBB pro status. But to answer your earlier question, there's number 10 is what you need to look at, because it says that because this is all regarding January 1st, 2024. Okay. If you were in what they consider inactive status prior to January 1st, 2024, which all the classic pros are, which means they haven't filled out their membership agreement, they haven't paid the fee in that amount of time, so they would be inactive. If you've been inactive prior to January 1st, 2024, you can, as long as you stay in inactive status, you retain your IFBB pro status then. So Linda Murray, Kim Shavetsky, Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, all these people can still call themselves IFBB pros. Okay. None of them lose their status, which gets back to the misinformation question, because the last time Janet competed was in what, 2021, 2022? So she's
2021.
one of these people. So she's one of these people. She's never going to lose her IFBB pro status as long as she remains inactive. So it just pisses me off that people are overreacting to this without paying attention to what the damn rules actually say.
Well, I think that Tyler needs to maybe talk about that, maybe kind of clarify.
Because I had to email, because it says at the top, you have any questions, email Tony Blinn. Well, I emailed Tony Blinn, and I asked a bunch of questions about this to be able to get clarification as to what's going on.
That's awesome.
So, but then it's like, Keith, what do you think of this idea? Because this is like a potential, because I've heard good arguments for and against. What do you think of this idea? If you are in active phase and in the inactive phase, at the end of 3 years, you still haven't filled out the agreement, still haven't paid the fee, that you can retain your IFBB pro status, you simply have to specify that you retire.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, because I was saying before, admirals and generals and military officers, they're allowed to keep their ranks, provided they say retired.
And it makes sense because when you go to a pro show or amateur show, these coaches passes that they have for coaches, no matter who you are, you either have to have an active NPC card or IFBB card to get a coach's pass.
When you say IFBB card, do you mean IFBB pro card?
Yes. So
Okay.
you have to have a active, not inactive, active NPC card or IFBB pro card to be obtained to go backstage with your athlete as a coach, because now I guess they've been saying for the last few years for insurance purposes. That's what they tell us anyway.
Yeah, because they used to do when they used to do the pump move videos, they stopped doing because athletes got hurt. They were using insurance excuses. Like you remember, like sites like US Muscle or Ari Riccio used to do it, like with her Muscle Angels, site, and because people getting hurt in the back or whatever, so there was like there would be like these cracks to be recorded. But now they do it now with the NPC. They do it now because they posted some videos every now and then.
Well, and of course they're going to do with the NPC because there's more coaches amped to go backstage at an NPC show than the IFBB Pro show. So of course, because you're dealing with more amateur athletes, and again, it just came in the last 10 years where you start seeing these pro-am shows.
Right. That was going to mention
that. Understood that the moneymaker is not the pro show. The moneymaker is the amateur show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a smart, because guess what? What they do, I've competed at these shows. I'll compete at two who does the same format. Hey, the pros go on. You're paying for the pro part of it. The NPC athletes come on afterwards. Everybody has to get up, get their ass out the door. Then the NPC people who bought their tickets, if you want to watch that show, got to buy another ticket, or you can buy a package, come back in and sit down. That's what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just crazy. But it's like I said, it's about making money for the organization. NPC, NB, and IFBB are all the same thing together. And also we all know with the NPC part, the competitors have to pay to compete, and the only class that pays to compete in the pros is the Masters, because it's not as popular. This is somebody that if I don't know if anybody's seen this yet, but it is some big news, especially in the world of bodybuilding, that officially one Mr. Lee Priest has decided to as we knew his IFBB pro status, even though he's been banned nearly 20 years. This is
okay, but
news.
Are we sure that's not a joke? Because when I saw that, I was like, wait a second. It's like I thought that too, but I was like, wait a second, is this the way of pulling our leg? With all the stuff that's going on,
again,
with all the stuff with this, how do we know that's true? Because is that really in fact his account? Is that really him?
Again?
This is from his official
Right.
This is from
Oh, but
right
do we
here.
know that's his official account?
It's
Because I could make that. I could pull
well,
up a picture of an IFBB Pro card and fill it out like that.
But again, the
So
question is because you
well, it's
become
right here
active. Because you become active, is he competing or just refiling for his pro cards? That's the question that we have to ask.
Yeah,
well,
because
he might be
see, look at the very bottom there. It says Lee McCutcheon, not Lee Priest, and he says digital creator. So that's why I say, is this legit or is this a joke? Because to
well,
me,
it's
the
hard.
first time I saw it, I thought it was a joke. Think it's a joke. So that's
Well,
why, because with all the problems that Lee Priest has had with the IFBB in the past.
Yeah.
So do you see, when I saw that, it was like, okay, I laughed at that because I thought it was a joke. But I'm reading so many other people, they say, oh, but this is an official account. I'm like, I don't think Lee Priest's name is Lee McCutcheon, and I don't think he's a digital creator. So that's why I say I don't think this is fake.
Well, right here, this is this is Lee Priest. That's blue check. It might be his. It might be, but as you know, McCutcheon might be his real name. He's used Priest. It might be his middle name. Some do use different names. Especially for whatever business reasons or like that. You get more attention if people recognize you by Lee Priest than Lee McCutcheon. But that's a possibility that he may just be doing it as a gag, or there's some people who really want to see him compete because he hadn't competed for nearly 20 years. We have here a comment from my man Chris. Shout out to Chris, and he says this. He says, "I have to head out. Nice talking to you, fellas. Thank you." And also, this is from my man Warrior. He sounded like this. Says, "The blue check mark. I thought this page was legitimately his account page." Well, I think some people, it might be either way like this. It's just that this is something that's really, really getting a lot of attention, and competitors are kind of concerned about their status, what they want to do, or, just how they want to go from this. But we all know this is about money. This is about whatever situation you're doing. There's so much involved in this, and us who don't understand, especially from us who are the outsiders who follow the sport, we kind of scratch our head stuff like this because, all we know is like, hey, you're a pro, and if you compete, you compete. If you don't compete, and we go to the shows. I keep saying this. We go to shows to see you competitors, see y'all compete. We come this, we bring in, we pay for our tickets like that, and we like to see certain competitors.
Here lies the problem that I have with the whole situation, and I've had this problem forever. And I just talked about this the last show I did, the Legion show. It's not as simple, George, as you saying if you're a pro, because there's different levels to this. There's different layers to this. Like an onion, you peel back an onion, you get a different level, a different flavor, this, that, and other. Here lies the problem. If I was a master, I'm paying to play. If I'm an open, I'm not paying to play. I'm still paying to play because I got to get a pro. I got to buy a pro card. But again, like when I went to Chris's show, I got the sweatsuit, I got this unbelievable bag of stuff. I got free tickets to the show for one of my guests, et cetera, et cetera. When I competed in the master class, I didn't get no tickets. I got a little goodie bag, but was nearly as special as the open class. So being a pro, it's not just being a pro. That's what I'm saying. You're treated different from a master's to an open. And the thing that I don't understand about it is, if that's the case, and you're going to have a higher status than me, or I'm going to have a higher status to you being an open competitor than the master, then I think that the open should have to pay more money than the master, because I got to not only pay for, I think when I did the Legion show, it was nothing for the open, but when I clicked on the master, it was like, well, you have to pay $150 or $200 to enter the master class. And I was like, whatever, it's $200, $150, whatever. you pay for it. But why should I have to do that? If I am paying the same amount as myself as being open as a master, why do I have to pay that extra fee and the master doesn't? That's the question. So being a pro is not just being a pro. There's levels to this shit that they don't tell people, when at the time that you get the pro card. Hey, congratulations. You just got your pro card in the master class. But just to let you know, when you go do any of these master shows, you're going to be paying $200+ as if you're still an amateur. How does that make sense? So what's so special about it? So being a pro is not just being a pro anymore, because you're giving all these master pro cards out. You have all these master pro shows. But in order for you to compete in these master pro shows, you have to pay, for your pro card, and you have to pay to enter that class. And that, for me, it just doesn't sit with me very right. But something that I can't control. I mean, am I wrong by thinking this way? Is the question I ask you guys.
Why people want to do it though? Like compete in that. Like if you got to pay and do all that stuff. Like I get it, but it don't make sense. Like why,
I really want
really
want to get Jeremy's perspective on this.
Okay, all right, no doubt.
No, I'm not I want all you guys' perspective, but Jeremy been around a lot, and so I really want to get his perspective and what he think of what I just said.
I apologize. My mind has been wandering. So can you sum up again what you said?
So
so sorry.
So George said a pro is a pro, and I said a pro is not a pro, because as an open competitor, I am treated completely different than a master competitor. So when I did the Legion show, I got a sweatsuit, a great goodie bag. All this cool stuff. It was awesome. As a master, I got a little bag, a couple things in it. Don't get free tickets like if I was an open. Because I sent Chris a message. I'm like, hey, don't we get tickets as a master pro? He said, no. You only get tickets if you're open. My thing is, then why do you give out so many pro cards as master competitors, but they're treated different than open? I don't understand. And because
Good
then
question.
a pro is not a pro, because there's levels to this shit now. If I do the Legion show, I'm an open. Because I clicked on open, no fee. I show up, get my tickets, get my sweatsuit, all this other stuff. As a master, I get a little goodie bag, but I got to buy tickets and do everything and pay to enter the class as if I was still an amateur. So I don't understand.
Now, would that be necessarily a league thing or a promoter thing?
No, it's a league thing, because every show that a master competitor, from the Pittsburgh Pro to the Master Worlds and everything else. And remember, we've talked about this before. So what I figured out what they did when I won money at the Legion show was they took all the entries from guys in that class and then divvied up the money based off your placing per class. So the promoter remember, in the open class, the promoter has to not only pay the sanction fee, but he has to have a prize money, a purse for that open class. So instead of having to have a purse for the master class, he says they're saying that IFBB, which is what I'm understanding and seeing lately, saying, okay, if you're a master, you can compete in a master show, but you have to pay a fee, and then that fee that you pay will get. And Gary started this, because I remember when I did the Pittsburgh Pro 3 years ago and won that show, and I was like, $500, because it was based off of how many guys, or maybe it was 1,000, how many guys was in that class, and basically that's how they divvied up the money.
So the promoter of the Masters, is there varying promoters for the Masters, or they're all done by the same person?
So Tim Gardner, when Tim Gardner, say for instance, I'm doing the Chicago Pro this year, and I'm doing the Tampa Pro, which is 2 of his shows before the Master Olympia. I'll enter both classes. I'll enter open, and I will enter Masters. Open, I won't pay anything for, but enter the show. Sign my contract. I'm in the show. Get my tickets from my, significant other, which Tina won't need one because she's a pro too, but she's competing. But again, at the end of the day, when I go to the Masters class, I have to pay an entry fee for the Masters class. And that's the same promoter. Tim is
But
the same promoter.
but I mean, does Tim do all of the Masters shows?
A lot of them, I mean, like now they have like the Emerald Cup, and there's a lot of master shows. But no matter, you can go and click on any. So when I went to Legions last year and did Legions, I clicked on Open. All right, cool. Signed the contract, cool. I clicked on Masters, and they said until you pay this $150 or $200, you can't enter the class. Got on my credit card, put my credit card information. Now I'm in that class.
Have you asked Tim as to why that is?
I have not, but it's been like that for shit. Man, I did Gary's show, the Pittsburgh Master Pro show 5-6 years ago. Well, I'm 51 now, so I don't know. It's been a while, but that's a good question. But so the only reason why I brought that up is because when George says, if you're a pro, you're a pro, and it's not. It's because there's levels to this. If you're an open pro, it's different than if you're a master pro.
And then also, the ultimate level, the Olympia.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, as I understand it, very different treatment there. I mean, first of all, travel and accommodations is paid for.
But
if
you heard me what I said earlier, now that with this elimination deal they're talking about, if you're not in the top 15 after elimination round, so you have a choice whether to come to the Olympia and take your chances of making that top 15 and been at those elimination rounds before the Olympia, but during the Olympia weekend. And if you don't, you have to pay for all the stuff that they usually would pay for. How crazy is that?
I say just do it the way the other divisions are doing it. I mean, they have a lot more shows, I get that, but the winner of the show, they go. Everybody else, forget it.
But Dave Palumbo was saying it's not fair to Jake Woods to have to pay for, 50 athletes per class that qualified, which here's the thing. In the Olympics, and I've competed in the 96 Olympics in Atlanta, Georgia as well. No matter what, USOC paid for every athlete who qualified to compete in the Olympics. They pay for everybody. Pay for your food, your dorm room, everything. So I don't understand why you want to sit here and again, these classes don't necessarily affect me. I guess if there's over 20 guys in Olympia and I qualified for Olympia and I didn't make the cut, I guess it would. But again, if you're not in the top 15 in none of these classes, come time for pre-judging, you're out. And if you decide to travel to Vegas to compete and you don't make the elimination round, you've got to all the shit that they would normally cover and pay for, you have to pay for yourself. So basically, what they're using, if you remember, and Dave Palumbo and George, I don't know if you listened to him, said they've been using this format for 38 years at nationals. So why wouldn't you do it at the Olympia? I'm like, well, it's an amateur versus pro show. So how the fuck are you gonna ask that question, Dave Palumbo, who never turned pro? Really? Seriously.
It's like I said, I watched the video and you talked about it, and Dave, he's one of the I know a while back he said some comments, and that's how I got one interview with Lady, because the comments he said were very controversial. It was like out his ass. We talked about it, and he privatized it. He put it to his private section. Like, I had a video where I did an interview with a lady. She didn't like the interview, so I don't want to delete it, so I just put it in my private section. That's where you do it. And as they're talking to, we talk about Steve Weinberger. And the thing is, a lot of these competitors, they want to compete and you want to be at these shows. But if you have to pay out of your pocket, you got to think about it. You have people coming from
China, and I was one of the
yeah, and now with politicals going right now, where it's going to be hard to even get into America. It's going to be tough for a lot of competitors to get here, especially if they qualify. And the cost, it's expensive. I know you're trying to save up for the Masters Olympia coming up.
$1,670 per ticket.
Yeah. And then I was talking with Lloyd, because I know Lloyd, she said she's been working because she's really trying to save up, because usually she comes on and do our little videos every now and then, but she says she's trying to make some money. The cost of now you got to pay your code card. You want to do this show, and now this is more expensive. That's why I think some competitors say, there are some that say, if I lose my pro status and I don't have to pay for it anymore, then fuck it, I'll do it. Here we have a comment here. excuse me, shout out to my man Warrior who says, I hate when people make fake accounts. They don't have nothing productive to do, posing as someone else by pretending to be someone more popular. But that's the reality nature of social media. Yeah. Also, we have here my man Lawrence Perkins coming through. Lawrence, shout out to Lawrence. He says, good evening, folks. Good evening to you, brother. Also, he says, happy Monday motivation, everyone. Thank you. Monday's just about over. Can you believe it's half a day in? And we almost got 4 more days left of January. Folks, as you know, I'm a fan of a particular lady. And, I know I just can't help it because, I often say she's my girlfriend and I just love her.
Let me
And I
guess.
also,
Let me guess. Natalia Kovaleva.
no. Who it is? Yeah, no, yeah, that was nah. Those things too big. I'd be like do like Rocky Balboa if I had her for a girl. But just the weekend, the ladies did a workshop, and Andre was there along with Talia Cuejo, Whitney Jones, Sidney Gillen. A lot of the top pros were at this event, and I saw this and I posted it. I reposted it in my IG because it just really tells you about a person. And with this all stuff going around, this is why I really and I appreciate it when she took the time out and she did this for me and signed this book. I love that. I mean, one day I would like to meet her and ask her would she marry me. So I'm going to put this little. She was giving a little talking at the event, and it just really tells you how passionate she is about bodybuilding, not just bodybuilding in general, just what she wants to do with her life. Here we go.
Boy, I was wrong on that one. I thought Sid was going to be the vision. I would have thought you would not have been. See, this is why you can't assume things.
And I break my vision board up into many things that's outside of just the Olympia. So I have trips that I have on the board, and I have family things, material like financial things. So every piece of my life, right, that are major things that I want to accomplish are on the board. And if there is not a picture that I can find, I just try to create one. So back to my story. The first Miss Olympia I have, and she knows that I did this. I took Shanique Grant's head off of her body, and I put my face on top, and I said, "I'm gonna be that." I just needed her gold medal. So, and again, for me, visually, every time like I would get out of bed and I would take a picture of it. So I always have like a digital copy of my vision board. So I'll refer to it if I'm out, if I'm away from home, I can look at it and say, all right, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then I would write down the action steps because I believe, having a goal or some sort of vision without the steps is pointless, right? You need to know on a daily basis, what are the steps that I need to eat my food? I know I would write, it's simple, but I would write these things down in my journal. I need to stick to my meal plan. I need to eat fish. I need to, do the cardio this day. I need to actually plan my ab workout, right? And those things were actively moving me forward even while I'm looking at the vision board. Because as much as my physiology I can engage, it was like I was much more connected to it. So yeah, it's just finding your way, but I still do vision boards. I love them. I love cutting out the pictures and figuring out. I don't cut people's heads off anymore. But it's fun in that, it gives me the opportunity to just let my imagination go a little bit. And then I just kind of let God do the rest. I pray over it and I said, all right, everything that's supposed to happen will happen. And then, just do my part. So after we do our part, God will handle the rest. Yeah.
That is so sweet. I mean, I just like this is why I'm a fan of this lady and what she's doing in representing women's bodybuilding. I mean, it was an event. There was a lot of ladies there, quite a few IFBB Pro Olympia level competitors. It was a get together. It was Orlando this Saturday. Big event. I mean, it was great to see women come together and talk to each other and sharing and giving your thoughts about sport bodybuilding. So yeah. So as you know, just guys mentioned my man Jeremy had to head out. Appreciate for Jeremy too. And he says, great conversation. Thank you, brother. Also here we have a comment from my man Lawrence. He's laughing at me. because he knows. But going back to this thing with the whole pro card thing, and it's Jeremy says this is misinformation. And the thing about most people, sometimes people like we talk about, they just glaze over something. They don't really. Sometimes some people don't have either the mental aptitude or the patience to read through some contracts. They just glaze over real quick. That's the thing. It happened to a lot of artists back in the day. They didn't read a contract thoroughly. They just looked at the part where the money's at, and that's it. And then and so yeah,
Yep.
I saw this posted. Like Betty Wright. If you never heard Betty Wright, No Pain, No Gain, classic song. I used to remember listening as a kid. It's she's still touring and still doing stuff. She talked about how when you remember the song "Call Me Bad," I want to sex you up, and she mentioned this how when she heard the song, she didn't get paid for it. So what she did, she went to a lawyer and she sued him. Now, Cody Bad has not been active for practically almost 30 years. I heard that they had broke up, couldn't get along. The lead singer Brian, the white dude they call look like Vanilla Ice. He did a little thing a while back with some other singers that didn't sing for a long time. Remember Cody Bad was like. They like the one brother looked like Nelly Vanilli, the one dude looked like Kitty G, the other dude looked like short George Michael, and he looked more supposed to be Vanilla.
They had a short career, man.
They
died in the 90s. They songs died in the 90s, man. Early 90s, what, like 91, 92?
Yeah.
That's
because I Remember 6 Years was on New Jack City soundtrack.
Yeah.
And that's a class. That's a great song. But this thing is, people, when you get into something like this, Mike Tyson said like this: read the contract, baby. He said it. That's true. When you get to say, you got to read the contract, read the blueprint, everything. If you have to sit there, you don't need a lawyer. Just be smart enough, have common sense. Look at all the details. Like when people were telling me stuff here, and there, I said, you know what? And Jeremy was the one who told me, said, George, it's not all what it is. I said, okay. Yep. So we'll get the information. We'll talk about it. I told people, hey, if you want to come on, but we all know a lot of you don't want to get into the thing. I understand you're busy, whatever it is, whatever, but it will take no more than a few minutes.
Yeah, the cool thing is I was at my hairstylist and she puts on these things on Netflix, and we're watching the Shannon Sharp show, and he had, I can't remember the comedian name, black lady. She was on Beauty Shop, and she said she had they were talking about her having 5 or 6 degrees. And she actually went into pre-law, and she said the reason why and he's like, well, why did you feel that you need all these degrees? She goes, because when I started to become a very good comedian, and she's a very good comedian, that she wanted to be able to read the contracts and not somebody else read the contracts to her, so she understood what she was seeing. So people and I realized this, and it makes sense because when Arnold Schwarzenegger, when Weeder got Arnold Schwarzenegger, brought him from Austria over to the States. What Arnold didn't understand is what you said, George, which is completely true with a lot of people and a lot of athletes. You were looking at the number of how much money you were making versus the copyright benefits. Meaning, Muscular or Weeder owned the rights to, you'll see all these old pictures pop up of Arnold all over the place. And Arnold can't do anything about it because when he originally signed those documents, he signed them for Weeder to have the copyright of all those pictures of him for the rest of their life when they were publicizing the magazine, that is. So remember when we see all these pictures, wow, these pictures, and Arnold tried to go after him, but the lawyer says, look, you can't because you signed a contract. And some photographers are like, hey, you will give you pictures that you can use, but understanding that we will always have the rights to these pictures. I've done, I don't know how many photo shoots with Muscular Development and Pavo and Flex Magazine and all these things. But again, at the end of the day, I understood that the rights to those pictures will always belong to them and not me. And so when this comedian lady was talking, she's like, I started taking these classes, so when I read these contracts, I can actually understand what they were saying, what I was getting paid, and what I was getting myself into so that I wasn't getting screwed over. And it made sense. Absolute sense.
Yeah, because remember, it wasn't long ago, Red Fox, the reason why he had to start back working again because he trusted his accountant and lawyer. Sometimes you don't trust them. I remember I was watching this comedian talk about how he knew this rich guy. He says like he knew this rich guy. He said he was so rich where he had a lawyer to watch that lawyer, a lawyer to watch that lawyer, a lawyer to watch the accountant watched that accountant, and he watched them all because even though this was he would trust with money, he didn't trust everybody completely. You make sure you look and pay attention to what is involved when you get into business like this. Like some of the ladies we talk about here, some of them do the video sessions or the solo shoots for the Beat Meat websites. Yeah, they don't have the right to those pictures. Like right now, like someone like Chelsea Dion, what she's doing. She's putting out product, but she still owns because if you like one thing I do, like if I do about the comparison videos, and especially if I don't use the ones like Sean Nelson stuff because he has his tag in it. So I use the ones where I can either edit it out or the computer will edit it out. Sometimes some stuff like one reason why my first channel was fine because I was posting pictures, but there was those pictures that were by the company. It's because they complained about it, and then that's why my first channel was fine. And then I don't it's around, but it's not active. But when you take out like some of the ladies, what they do, especially when they get some of the pictures, some of them do take out the little tags and stuff because they want to put on their social media. Unless somebody reports it, most times they don't know. Sometimes it takes like some stuff. It takes maybe months because if they don't register or anything like that, it's because there's so much digital stuff in it and securities. Like when I used to do my comparison videos, I used to go to NPC News Online and download them, copy them right off the site. And what they started doing was, blocking that. But there's those sayings, always a way around a mousetrap. I can go to another site, they post those same pictures, and I can take them and use those pictures. Or like I said, or sometimes, like I said, some of the competitors will take those pictures too and put it on their social media. I can pull them off of their social media. It's there because it's you put it public. This is from shouts to my man Lawrence says, is Keith talking about Cheryl Underwood on Club Shay Shay?
Yeah.
Cheryl Underwood. Yeah, I know she does CBS version of The View. I know Cheryl.
She's amazing.
Yeah, I've been knowing Cheryl for years. She talks about she used to be married and her husband died, and she started doing stand up. She always carried the purse. I mean, Cheryl is crazy.
She's absolutely amazing, and she's just a smart woman, and how she carries herself, her business savvy, and how Martin Lawrence and Chris Rock and some other people put her on to understanding the game and understanding the business. And again, like we say, a lot of people are paying attention to the numbers, but not the fine print. And Jeremy's right. I never and I'm going to go once I get off the phone and look at that because it makes sense. So it makes sense. It's like, you just become inactive because again, you're not an active pro unless you have a pro card. I don't know when me and Tina's expired because we bought ours at the end of
Doesn't matter if you buy it.
Yeah, because like Tina said, it doesn't matter if it's year to year. It doesn't matter when you buy it because it's year to year. It's just going to weed out people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know one lady, she turned pro about a couple years ago. She said she wasn't going to compete, and I don't know if she uses that status for her social media platforms. A bunch of others, some might lay out. I mean, a while back, Christy Hawkins, she posted when she had updated hers, and I was thinking she was going to compete. That was back in 2022, but I think mostly she runs her own business, which is some biomedical stuff, and also she does powerlifting competitions. I thought, that's when we especially when you're a fan, especially some of these ladies, we say like, oh, they just updated their new pro card. Say, oh, they're gonna compete, and then it's just because they want to keep renewed because they use that for business. It's like I said again, it's like being like an electrician or a plumber or any kind of job where you need to be licensed and bonded.
Yeah, but the difference between those guys is that I don't know if they have to re-up their certification. I know things change and technology changes, but again, it's one of those things where every year you have to do this, and like Jeremy said, I get it, and again, here's my thing. Say for instance, I say I never want to compete again, and I don't get my pro card. You'll never. The difference I think that people are perceiving is you cannot take away what I've already earned. You can. I'm an IFBB pro for life. I don't play. I've been playing the NFL since 2004. I am always going to be a former NFL player no matter what, because I played the game. So you can sit here and say, oh, because so I don't understand how they can say that. You're IFBB, you earned it. So you may choose to say, I don't want to pay the $275. I don't want to compete. But they can't ever take that away from you being a pro, because you earned that right. You put in your time. I put in many, many years. Tina, that's like saying if Tina decides, who's standing right next to me right now, says, you know what, after this year, I don't want to compete no more. But guess what? It took her 15 years to get that pro card. 15. And that's something that she rightfully deserved and earned. And if she chooses not to compete anymore for health reasons, or she just doesn't want to compete anymore, does that not make her a pro anymore? Is the question. And that's what we're talking about. Jeremy said it, because Jeremy said what they're saying is that you just become inactive after 3 years. You just have to re-earn it, I guess. And the guy that you had on earlier, he said it best. Tyler needs to come on and explain to the athletes, like he does all these other casts where he's like, hey, we're doing the fit model. Hey, this is what we did. Well, this is how we judge the things, and see if we get a better understanding. He needs to come on and sit there and says, this is what we're specifying that's going to happen if you don't re-up your pro card after 3 years. And then that's all you need to say. Like Jeremy just cleared it up for me right away. Go to section, B, and look at Article 10. And once I look at it, I understand, oh, well, that doesn't mean I'm not a pro. That just means after 3 years that, it doesn't mean you got to start all over. It just means you got to pay, to have your pro card, I guess. So it's now Tina's saying that you have to start all over. Is that what they're saying? George?
If you lose your pro status, yes, you got to start all over.
So
if you lose that status, if you're not, I think it's more like if you don't activate it the year before, when you get your pro status, if you don't activate it within that year's time, then you lose it. Then you do have to requalify. I think with the others who already established pros, especially the lady who just talked earlier, showed Miss Janet, she's retired. Yeah. She don't have to do it. But if it's the ones who just got their pro cards, who don't activate their pro cards and pro status, I think they're the ones who have to requalify. I don't, like I said, that's really the confusing part about it, because I think things like, you got to think about it, if anybody who we just had nationals, last month, and then some competitors got their pro cards. If they don't register within that time, that guideline, then they gonna have to start over again and do a pro qualifier. That's how I said it in the list. What we were talking about earlier, again, we mentioned the accursed fit model division. They just did a show, and you have your first fit model winner. I'm going to pull it up here in a second, and I'm like this. What's the point of this division again? I mean, this is the runway.
No, I'm saying it's the win. Forget it.
We're about to pull it up here, and this is the young lady right here, who won it. Trying to find her tag. I think her name is right here is Angie Miranda. I think that's her name is, and she is the first winner of a fit model show. And they had it. It was a show somewhere. I got any show.
Broad show. That's what they call it, Skinny Broad show.
Yeah,
she looked like a bikini competitor.
It's Angela Miranda. Yeah. Yeah, it's all.
Hey, George.
What?
So
Yeah.
if any member does not become active after 3 years, no matter how long you have been a pro, you have to requalify. It does not matter. I would have to requalify. It says it right here. So it's for any pro that does not reestablish an active, which means you have to compete, not just buy your pro card. That's what it's saying, that I would have to requalify.
So you mean so even though you're already pro and you pay a fee, if you're not active, you still have to requalify?
Yes, that's what it says. It says if a member does not become active within a 3-year period of their IFBB pro status after canceling and can be only reestablished through a pro qualifier. That's for any pro.
So that's Flex Wheeler, Chris Camille, any of them. No, but
you're talking about guys that are already grandfathered in, that already have their own. I mean,
grandfather.
They're going to be treated differently, period, anyway. So you can't really use them. It would be the Walker or whoever else, those guys.
Yeah, I know
what it says.
Yeah, I know about the 3-year thing part of it. Yeah, because that's the thing. That's the center for it.
But I think this has always kind of been something that's been in the rules. They have not enforced it, and I think now they're going to start enforcing it. And just in my opinion, I feel like it should be done. If there is no pro athlete on this planet, Mahomes isn't going to come back 3 years later and want to be a quarterback. There's no NBA player that's going to come back 3 years. Either you want to compete and be active or you don't. That's just my opinion. And I understand you're going to have injuries, but what injury are you going to have for 3 years? I mean, at that point, you should probably just quit if it's that bad. That's just my opinion. So,
and it's true because
I'm kind of on board with it because either you want to compete or you don't want to compete. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. I don't know. If I have to take 3 years off for anything, I am not coming back. I mean, it just is what it is. And I feel like it will weed out a lot of people that just want to hang around and have the status and just be on stage when it's convenient. Either you want to compete or you don't. And again, it's just my opinion. And I mean, like I said, if I'm going to take a year off, I might as well quit. That's just me. I have never been hurt, thank God. But that's just kind of how I feel about it. You need to, it's like any other sport. LeBron James, even though I don't like him, he doesn't take just a year off. Oh, I'm going to take a year off from basketball. See you in another year. What is that? You know what I mean? So I guess that's just the part of being an athlete. For me, no matter what sport you're doing, either you want to be active and you want to do it or you don't. So I don't know. That's just my opinion, and people may not like it, but it is what it is.
That's your opinion. You're sticking to it. Yeah. But I think a lot of people are concerned about, especially if they feel like they work so hard, they lose this status. I mean, the blood, sweat, and tears sacrifices, the dehydration,
Well, then that's
tired.
Fine. Then compete. Nobody's telling you not to compete. If you want to be a pro, then compete. There are a lot of people that turn pro and don't do shit. And it's like, no offense and all, I work too damn hard to just turn pro, to just never do it and try to get to where I feel like I could get. But again, that's just me. I'm not trying to woo people with my training and put, people on stage either, I like more of helping out people who want to do weight loss, because people in this industry, too snarky for me, like can't do it. But at the end of the day, again, if you want the status, then continue to compete. And it is a lot of work, but I think you should know going into it, it's not going to get any easier. So why the hell did you start then? I mean, that's my whole thing. It's, as a pro, it's not going to get easier. You start at the bottom and work your way up again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
and not everybody's going to be Mr. Olympia or Miss Olympia or or this competitor or this, or it's just so. It's the thing is, this is a passion sport, and I have a conversation with you and many other ladies. You have to really love doing this. I know it's expensive because for you ladies, it costs y'all way more. Not just counting now. You got pro fees you got to pay, the travel to the shows, coaches, food. Then you got to throw in your suits. If you wear high heels, got to throw those in, hair, makeup. There's so much expense to it. But if you know how to maybe save some money, put some money together, like I said again, not everybody does the Beat the Meat websites. That's up to them. But if you're a person who knows how to, spend your money wisely and smartly and invest in yourself, and if you're lucky enough, you have people who want to invest in you, get sponsorship, that helps. And this sport, people keep saying like, Raheem would say that, oh, it's going to go down, it's going to be that. But as long as there's people who want to compete, I've seen ladies who took like one lady who mentioned Carmen Brady. She walked away from it. She started acting things like that. She just turned pro last year, and she hadn't competed for nearly 20 years. Some other ladies who took a step away from it. One lady I know who actually turned pro back in the 90s. She came back. Now, that's Melly Horton, and she's been competing for the last 8 years in both physique and now women's bodybuilding. She started out women's bodybuilding, now she's doing physique. And and instead of getting with the other competitors like the Miloses or the Flexes or the Ronnies or the Irises or the Kims or the Corys, their grandfather in. It was like I used to remember the strip club I used to work in. They couldn't open another strip club because the rules changed. But the club I worked in, because it was so old, it was it was there for the longest time. It was grandfather in. They couldn't open another one in the area, but because that was there with the first one. And it was there when
how about this? Or how about this? I look at it as I've done a lot of goddamn pro shows, a lot in my career. And if you have so many pro shows under your belt, win, lose, or draw, then you should be grandfathered in. I understand what they're saying now because they're giving. I compete against Jason Hub, probably 4 guys that beat me. 3 guys that beat me to get my pro cards who don't compete at all. I don't even know where they are or what they're doing now. And so I get that. I get Jason Hub was one, Abbas Katami was one, and I can't remember the guy from the Ukraine was another guy who beat me at Nationals. I understand that because they haven't competed in years, and they may have only even done 1 or 2 pro shows. I know I've done a ton of pro shows, Masters and Open. So I think when you're talking about this rule, because I do understand some people do this. Like when I turned pro, immediately after I turned pro, I entered the Tampa Pro Show, and that's when they started filming Generation Army. I didn't know I was getting myself into. Tony Freeman, Hito Tada, Rolly Winkler, was a ton of guys in this show, and I was like, oh, and I think I ended up finishing 10th. And I just remember Tony Freeman says you're a better pro than you ever were amateur. But I was like, and I get what Tina's saying. It's like, why am I going to sit out a year or 2 when I worked so hard to get this pro card to sit out a year or 2? I understand people say some people need to put on size and this, that, and other. No, I want to, and remember when Tina first turned pro, what did I do? Remember what I did with her? She won at Miss International. Her ass went on stage the very next day, and she hated me for it because I went up because I wanted, and she was top 10, but I wanted to see how she would do in a crowd. It probably wasn't the ideal thing to do, but the IFBB said, and again, here's where the money comes into it. They said, well, if you turn pro, you can do the pro show the next day, but you have to have an active IFBB pro card. So I went up to a friend because I didn't have the cash on me, Jeff Smallberg, who wanted to introduce me and Tina. I said, hey, Jeff, you got $275 on you or $250? Gave me a $250. I walked up to whoever I paid at the Chicago Pro. Looked at Tina and says, tomorrow you're doing the pro show. She does, and Melanie agreed with me. Tina didn't agree with us, but we want to see how she did, so there's that. And she did well. And after that, the rest is history because she plays top 4 in every show she did, and up until the part where she took a break from Mel and things like that. But again, a lot of these, I understand what they're saying and what they're doing, because what they're doing is they're saying a lot of people get a pro card for the status symbol to be able to train people. Because, and no offense at all to a lot of people out there, just because you have a pro card doesn't mean you know what the fuck you're doing. Just because you knew how to train yourself or whatever case may be, doesn't mean you know what you're doing. And I think that's what they're trying to weed out. But remember, I also said, in order to get backstage at a pro show or amateur show, you have to have an active IFBB pro card or an active NPC card to do it. So it all makes sense. So eventually, no matter what, if you're a trainer and using your status as IFBB pro, you're going to have to get one anyway. So what are we really talking about, at the end of the day? So that's just my thoughts.
Well, brother, I appreciate your thoughts, both of y'all thoughts, because like I said, I'm an outsider. I'm just a guy looking from the outside, and people
I know.
who follow me,
I love it.
yeah. Yeah, and people follow me saying, "Hey, George, you see this, yeah." And I say, well, "What's going on?" Because and I just thinking, "Hey, a pro's a pro," but
Yeah.
there's so many different aspects of this sport and the levels and all this. You have the top competitors, you have the ones that are coming up, you have the ones on the bottom, and now
Yeah.
you have this new division coming in here that I think is trying to make a way for it now. I think you're supposed to start doing the pros by next year. For the fit model division, and
That was the crazy shit you showed me. All I seen was a skinny girl.
yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just I'm sorry. I like I don't I'm like I like a woman with a little more shape. I don't want a woman I can hug her and I feel like the bottom of
Hey, a
stomach.
little
I
bit more,
crushed her.
a little bit more substance.
Yeah. I don't feel like that a mouse and man. I'm leaning. I'm just like, George, I crushed a little rabbit. That's how I do it. But it's again. It's about some people say they don't like it. Some are on the fence, or some are just going to ride till the wheels fall off. But the thing is as a fan of the sport and a fan of people like you, Keith and Tina, and all the people, and also, I really would like to see more transparency, more opportunities. Sit there like this when the situation happened. Instead of trying to put more shit on top of shit, you need to sit and talk to you don't have to do a big like little tele thing. Sit there.
Yeah.
You have everybody from the capo himself, Jim Mannion. You have his heir apparent there. You have the judges. You have Jake. Yo Jake. Yo Jake. You have everybody sit down. Okay, we're gonna go through what's going on here. Explain to the
It's
people who may
called a
not get it because some people
symposium.
will. Yeah, put it together. You can do that. It's not that hard,
Dude.
but it's just easy just to go ahead and okay, let's just do this, and everybody just follow. But not everybody's going like me. Instead, again, I am a particular type of villain, and I'm not going to be the type of person gonna fall in line. I'm going to be me. I'm going to see stuff and say, you know what, I want to talk about this. But if you're afraid of that, you want to talk about, I'm saying that's cool. But the thing is, this is an old scroll. Evil prevails when good men do nothing. That's the truth of it. If you don't speak for yourself, this is your
Mouths
sport,
don't
not
get
mine.
fed.
Yeah, closed mouth don't get fed. My mama taught me. Well, God bless her. She had to raise us, and
And
stuff.
again, and what people have to understand is constructive criticism, because there may be something that was said in this podcast that Tyler or Steve, when they brought up Steve on this podcast, remember, and he was like, "Well, that's a good idea. That makes sense." But he's not the one, and Steve made it clear he wasn't the one making the decisions. But it was also said on the back end by Dave Palumbo that if Steve likes something, usually it'll happen because who Steve is. You know, the heir apparent is Jim Mannion as the president. Tyler is the vice president. I would say, if I look at things right now, I would say Jim Mannion is the president, and Steve and Tyler are the co-vice presidents. If that makes sense, because there's a lot more knowledge that from Steve than there, and no disrespect from Tyler, he's just younger. That comes from Steve, and I know Tyler gets a lot of advice from Steve, because I remember going up to Steve after the Tampa Pro one year and asked him a question, and Tyler was standing right there, and they both started talking to me, and it gave me clarity, and whether it was honest or transparent or not, I don't know, but I'm like, okay, they took the time and talked to me, outside of the judges table. I think it was outside of the lobby at the Marriott or whatever. But again, at the end of the day, I think it's a co-partnership between the three, between Steve, Tyler, and Jim, that make these things work. And so, it's one of those things where if people are listening, don't be scared, because I just got clarity, from Germany, and even more so when my wife came down and it's like, well, no, here it is. I'm like, okay, that makes sense, because again, I don't think I've ever looked at the rule book when it comes to anything when it comes to us competing to this topic that you brought up came up. So now it makes sense. So good
Yeah.
job.
Oh, yeah, so no, brother. I just, just a man. I'll say this every time ladies say, George, you're a good person. Thank you. Nah, I'm just a muscle person with likes buff chicks. That's all. That's all I am. So, but yeah, it's this thing is it's about education and knowledge is power. And we know something. If you like, I often say this: be aware of your surroundings at all times. Never give a sure footing for a killing blow. Quote Liam Neeson, aka Henry Cobb, aka Ra's al Ghul, the demon head, my master, who taught me. I am Batman without the billionaires of Bruce Wayne. You call that, but there's a lot to this that people need to sit down. Everybody stop running around like the chickens with their head cut off. Sit down, take a moment, read it thoroughly. One of the ladies who I posted on this, and she said like she's a lawyer and she went through it, and she still sees some things that's like kind of funny about it, kind of wonky, but she understands.
Yeah.
And if you understand it and you know what they're talking about, like I say, the rule was there already. They're just enforcing it now because I think they really want to clean house, especially if you were talking about like coaches who are IB pros, but then they don't compete and they just use it as their business moniker or whatever like that, and the people who are inactive, who turn pro and just say, what, they turn pro, but they have no use for it. They don't want to compete. They just want to live their lives. Then what's the point? Why did you even compete if you don't want to compete in the IFBB?
Like, and I think it's a lot to do with the masters classes than anything because again the trap game with that is okay, and there's a lot of master pro cards being handed out in the last years, and the problem with that is the trap game I call it is, damn, I just had to drop 275 on the pro card. Damn, now if I want to enter a show, I'm still at amateur status as far as entering a show because I'm still paying to play. So why get a pro card? If I'm gonna still have to pay to play. And that's where and like Jeremy said, that'll be a good question to talk to Tim Gardner, who I think is the biggest promoter of Master Pro shows, or Gary Udick, and find out if they would even give you a straight answer of why, once I pay for a pro card as a master, why am I treated different than an open competitor? Because I'm still having a diet, I'm still having to do everything that an open person will do. The classes are still super competitive, so why am I being treated different? And like Jeremy said, that is a very good question to ask, one of these guys. But again, are you going to get a transparent answer, or are you just going to get a bullshit answer? Is the question.
Yeah, sound like when I think about this, I think about The Sopranos. I think Jim Mannion, he's like Uncle Junior. Steve is like Tony. I think Tyler's like Chris, and you got Paulie and what's the face? What was the other dude? The guy used to play with Bruce Springsteen. He played, I forgot his character's name. But I remember Paulie. He was always him and Chris is always arguing. Every so often the show. Rest in peace to that actor. And also the late James Gandolfini. But yeah, that's what it is. It's and everybody just has to figure out what they want to do from this. Yep. Use the information wisely. And also go to these promoters, go to these officials. Most of these people, these people. You go to these shows, ask them what's going on because they know it. Because or talk to someone like one person also, Sandy Williams. They just did the whole thing with the women workshop. So much we talk to Sandy about it.
Well, and like the one thing, like some promoters will be honest, like Chris, about the women's bodybuilding. I looked him in the face. When are you gonna bring women's bodybuilding? Like when somebody brings some sponsorship money. He's being honest. These guys are in our business. I say if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense, and I get what they're doing. If it don't make dollars to them, it don't make sense. So if they're having to pay and they're losing money versus making money, they're not going to do it. That's why they now they don't have women's bodybuilding or women's physique now. At the Legion show, which is crazy to me, but
I was hoping they would have it, and they're not going to have the Anaheim show this year because it's not on the list. But they do have some new shows coming up. Tupelo, they're going to add women's bodybuilding. I don't think it's Masters, maybe Masters and Open, Texas Pro. They moved the show that was in UK to Germany. I think it's going to be mostly a lot of foreign competitors do that show because that's the opportunity. Germany's a little closer for some people in the area. And like I said again, it's about just going. If you have a problem, go to the people who know, who's in the know, and they'll tell you the rules are already there. We're just enforcing it, and all you gotta do, as long as you pay your status, you're good. Any other problems, then you just gotta work and deal with it. And then if you do have to qualify, then that's on you. You just pick a show. I think you may have to do a regional too, or just do a pro qualifier. I don't know the whole details of it again. I mean, it's still kind of ambiguous in some ways where you want to know. People want everything exact and detailed, cut to the short. They want the cliff notes. They don't want to go through read the whole thing. But the thing is, to get information, you have to really read the whole thing, from the rooter to the tutor, as they say.
Yep. All right, brother. I gotta head out of here. I appreciate you.
All right. Congratulations on the Chiefs.
Thanks. Yes. Number 3, baby.
Number 3. Good luck to him.
Great. It was awesome.
Yeah, I know you're proud. You're proud of your boy, Patrick.
Yes, one of a kind, brother. One of a kind.
Yeah, you sound like Kermit the Frog. Hi, I'm Kermit the Frog.
We talk much like Kermit the Frog. Just keep bringing those Super Bowls home for us.
All right. Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate you coming.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, bro.
All right, I'll be here
later.
All right. So, folks, shout out to our man Williams coming through. Shout out to his lovely wife Tina S. Williams. Also, shout out to my man Kayla Wanderer. Shout out to Jeremy of Female Physique and Female Physique fan, and also shout out to man David Bryant over at Female Body Forum. And appreciate everybody who was here. Warrior 2000, Lawrence Perkins, Chris Mitz, Stefan Prey, also Daz. All who was here, who watched and commented on this video. Those who watching this on the who didn't comment, who watching it. Excuse me. I appreciate y'all. I would like to get y'all feedback and your thoughts. You can hit me up on my Always George page. IG. It's in my go to my YouTube channel. I mean, you can find my links up there. Hit me up on or you can make a comment in this live stream video, because once the video is over, the live stream is gonna be on my YouTube channel. You can go check my YouTube channel. If you missed it, watch it again and give us your feedback and details. This is about y'all competitors. Y'all the ones who really, if this is a concern, you need to speak up, say something. Don't walk around with your head. It has to, what's going on? Oh my God, oh my God. Take a breath. Talk to the higher ups. Talk to the Tyler Manions. Talk to the Steve Weinbergers. Talk to Tim Gardner. Talk to Gary Unick. Talk to Sandy Williamson. Talk to Jake Wood. Talk to even J.M. Manion or Jim Manion. I know, even though he's not as active in the part of the business, but he understands it because, he is the son. He's part of the family. Also, just read it. And if you know somebody who's, a pro that's been around the game for a long time, sit and have them explain it to you. Even if you're just an amateur who's competing in PC, you're a new pro, or someone who's planning to compete as a bodybuilder, reach out and talk to somebody. There's people out there who will tell you that. Some people might sugarcoat you for a little bit, but just really talk to people who need to understand here. Shout out to my man Balls Deep, says, what up and salute. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you coming through. Balls Deep. We're about out of time, brother. We're about to go out. We did have Tina here for a movie, but she didn't take off her shirt and flex for you. So so tough break. But I do appreciate you, Balls Deep, coming through and commenting. Folks, I said again, this is something it's for you competitors need to take care of. You need to reach out, talk to somebody. If you're concerned about your status as a pro, don't be so much in a rush to go, okay, I got to do a show. I got to compete. I got to do this. Talk to somebody. And if you do lose a status, then try to keep it active. If you're paying every year, you want to keep your status paid. If you don't, then let it go and say, you know what, I'm moving on, I'm living my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm saving money in my pocket for my family. You can do that too. But if you really love this sport, if you're really passionate about this sport, you got to do what you got to do. Like, you got to do to survive. So, folks, appreciate y'all for coming through. Thank y'all. shout out to the competitors who are competing in the sport. As you know, we got a few more months. February's coming up, Black History Month. Shout out to you. I'm gonna do my comparisons dedicated to lovely sisters of bodybuilding. That's next month. Also, we got the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic coming, one of the biggest shows for the first of the season. I'm kind of on the fence since they don't have women's bodybuilding physique or even figure. I don't know. I might do a talk about fitness because I've interviewed somebody in fitness, and it's the second oldest division in women's bodybuilding. So I might talk about that on my channel. I might now, depending. I know some ladies I follow who are fitness competitors. Just for instance, Schmo gang. So we give them that. Thank again to my brothers, my sisters who came through here, who commented, supported me. Anybody who watched this live stream, give me some feedback. Reach out to me. If you have subjects you want me to talk about, something that's close to you, something that affects you as a competitor, let me know. It's like I said, I'm trying to find stuff to talk about, every Monday, because I can do this every Monday. At one point, I'm thinking about maybe covering a couple of Mondays. I'm thinking about doing that by Mondays, But I like to do this every week if I can. If I can find something to talk about, I will. This is one more for my man, Balls Deep. Appreciate you, man. He says, shout out to Balls Deep. He says, smash that like button. Yeah, thank you. Smash that like button, share, comment, subscribe, follow me on social media platforms. Also, you can follow my guests. My man Big Keith Williams. He's also on IG. You can follow my man KL the Wanderer. He's also on YouTube, and also my man Female Body Forum. He's on YouTube and also on IG. And you can also follow Tina, which is the Ripped Diva. And also happy belated birthday to a couple ladies I've known who've been guests on my shows. Happy birthday to the wonderful, lovely IFBB Pro Mrs. Andrea Sauer, and also happy birthday to the lovely Miss Jennifer Childress. Also, happy birthday to the lovely Miss Jessica Hofstadter. Her birthday was also this past weekend. Also, happy belated birthday to Christine Paris. She was also a guest on here. And some ladies, if you had a big birthday weekend, happy birthday all of y'all. Happy birthday ladies who are guests on my channels, who I have still connections with, and I appreciate them. So, folks, it's a wrap. See you, February the 3rd. February the 3rd. That's the first. It'll be the second month. The shortest month is February. Also, be tax time. So my sister, she carries me, so I get a little money. I'm trying to get my car out next month. I hope I can. Hope the guy's good on it. I gotta get some stuff done on it, afterwards. But I do need to get around. I mean, I was walking up to the laundromat so often. I don't want to bother my sister every time to give me a ride to the laundromat, but But anyway, folks, it's your man always your page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Like God, subscribe. Have a good afternoon, good night, good evening, and good luck, and Happy New Year again.